Corey and Zach lingered in foster care for years, longing for a permanent place to call home. They lost hope.
I felt alone in the world. I didn't feel loved. Every day felt like a lost cause. I thought, who would want to adopt an older child?
I thought, I'm going to end up on the streets. That's just how it's going to be.
Thankfully, Corey and Zach's journey changed when they were adopted with help from the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption.
It's really difficult to wonder how you're going to make it. I'm not going to have that problem now. I just won't. Because I have a family.
Today, Corey and Zach have bright futures. But every year, thousands of youth age out of foster care with no permanent family and no safety net. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
Hi, I'm Dr. Anita Chandra with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. To keep your family healthy and safe, it's important to be ready if disasters happen. Develop a family communication plan. Make sure your family, including your children, know how to reach each other. Make a kit with first aid supplies, medicine, medical records, and comforting things for your child. Finally, talk about what to do when emergencies happen, like street flooding, a power outage, or a fire. For more, visit healthychildren.org.
I will hug my mom.
I can't wait to embrace my brothers and sisters from choir.
We ask people what they would do when they get back to their loved ones.
I'll do a big barbecue and squeeze every face in my family. My brother, he better be ready for that bear hug, too.
I need to hug my girls.
Millions of people are getting vaccinated. It's our chance to get back to what we miss so much safely. And for people at higher risk of COVID-19 complications because of diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart conditions, or if you're a heart attack or stroke survivor, the COVID-19 vaccine is an important choice. With every vaccine, we are closer to a future free of COVID-19. The vaccines are safe, effective, and the right response. Getting back to life. Set your heart on it. It's up to you. For more information, go to heart.org/vaccine. A message from the American Heart Association.
Have you mixed your pain meds, your sleep meds, your allergy meds? Call the Poison Helpline. Has your child eaten a tube of toothpaste, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you been bitten by a spider, a snake, an insect? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
WWDB, Philadelphia. The talk station.
Good afternoon, greater Philadelphia area. This is Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Stacy Mitchell, and we've got Nick behind the camera. I think you're supposed to wave at the camera, Stacy, not at me. Although I appreciate the wave. I always love your energy. We all work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Mainline, the number one RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And if you get some value out of this show, do us a favor, subscribe to the YouTube channel, give us a like, only if you like the show. If you don't like it, you don't have to give us a subscribe. And again, we're live every week on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Just look up Tom Toole Sales Group. So the obvious thing to start with today, Stacey, is the Federal Reserve meeting from last week. And we're going to cover some stuff going on with the commission lawsuits, Bob Goldberg. It seems like these stories keep evolving, and they're really dominating the headlines. But first, for consumers, I know a lot of people were waiting with bated breath about what happened after the Fed meeting. So if you don't know what happened, they opted not to raise the key interest rate, the federal funds rate. They kept it steady, which everyone predicted would happen. And the market reacted. We're seeing rates kind of still bounce around. Like, it's almost daily. They're going up like 1/8 of a point. They're down 1/8 of a point. Today we're getting quoted 7 3/8. It was like 7 1/8 last week. It was closer to 7 1/2 earlier this week. It seems like this is where rates are going to be as a result of that Fed meeting. What were your takeaways from the Fed meeting, Stacey? Let's start there.
Well, yeah, they decided not to raise, but they also indicated that they definitely would be looking to raise their basis points again. I think towards the end of this year, they signaled that there would be another rate hike.
Mm-hmm.
So they signaled that, I guess, because they don't want people to get too comfortable since they didn't do it this time. But honestly, I thought they might have raised it this time. That was my prediction.
So you were wrong.
So I was wrong.
And I'm glad you were wrong, by the way. This is a good wrong.
Yeah, but I still think that they're still on, a collision course here. They're still going to raise a number of times because the inflation is not getting to their magic number. So they will continue on this path until the inflation gets at their magic number of 2%. But as far as the mortgage rates, I think that people are used to these rates right now where they are. And the people that I'm dealing with now, they're okay with that. They're like, we have to transact, we're fine. And honestly, I'm seeing a lot of incentives from lenders. I had a client a couple days ago. Their pre-approval included a lender grant of up to 5% of their closing costs to cover closing costs at settlement. So I thought that was really, really great. And if it is FHA, but that's some true incentive there. And I think the rates, I think what they were quoted was like 7.125. So it's a good start, especially for first-time home buyers. And I think that that's going to help with their closing costs. So if there's lender incentives out there, go for it. It's going to help.
So that's great intel. And I'm clear lenders are giving incentives because it's been way tougher being a mortgage lender this year than a real estate agent. And I'm not saying it's been easy to be a real estate agent this year, as you and I both know. So the lenders have definitely had a bit of a challenge when it comes in the marketplace here. So that's a great observation that they're all competing. I talked to someone very high up at a very prominent mortgage company. That's as much as I'm going to tell you. And their margin right now that this company is making on loans is about $1,000 per loan. So think about that. Wow. Like you're a large lender. People know who you are in the marketplace, and your margin's $1,000, and you're competing with all these other companies that are offering. I mean, you have to. It's a thin business right now. That's really challenging for a lot of folks. So that's very interesting. You're seeing that. I'm going to go a little different direction, Stace. So I found some information here from the former Boston Fed president. So this is this is the after the meeting, and there were three major takeaways. And this is from Diane Swank. She's the former Boston Fed president. She now works at or she's a KPMG economist. Excuse me. So. One is that the Fed's still fighting a strong economy. Despite housing being in this weird spot, the economy's chugging along. It's moving really well, and that's why we saw inflation kind of coming a little higher than was expected a couple weeks ago. And they're not fighting a bad economy. I think a few months ago the Fed thought the economy was going to be very weak and they could maybe be a little more passive. Now they're fighting a stronger economy that's causing them to be more active. That might be why they said maybe we'll lower rates later this year. I don't think they thought the economy was going to be this strong. That's number one. And secondly, it looks like the likely rate hike we'll see will be in the month of December. Happy holidays, everybody. Feliz Navidad, all that stuff. So, Rosengreen, who's the former Fed president in Boston. I'm sorry, I misquoted that there. It's Eric Rosengreen. He was 14 years the president of the Boston Fed. He's the one coming out with these, not the KPMG economist. He believes that the rate hike's going to come most likely in December, and they're likely to raise rates, and it's likely going to come at the last meeting of the year because they're not going to have enough information by November, which I tend to agree with. I mean, we're going to see how the fall plays out here because there's always this summer pop in the economy, and then things drop down a little bit. You got all those last-minute vacations. It's a time when people spend a lot of money, and then there's back-to-school shopping, which also drives spending. So that could be why we saw inflation bubble up a little bit. And, one of the unknowns right now and why they may wait until December is if the consumer is going to continue to spend. because all this excess savings from the pandemic, and there's a lot of people that were sitting on a lot of cash during the pandemic. It's coming down pretty quickly, and student loans are now payable again. So this is a whole nother factor. So there's going to be a lot of things that the Fed has to monitor here. And the third one is they said maybe expect a rate hike. They also said maybe we're going to see some rate drops this year. That obviously is probably not going to happen. If that happens, I'd be shocked. I'd be more shocked than that anything else. They need to let this play out a little bit. And Jerome Powell was very cautious, and he sounded a little uncertain during his comments afterwards. And I usually get more worried about the comments than the actual decision. And so I think those are the takeaways that I saw from the meeting. And anything I missed there, or anything else you heard in the post meeting comments, Stacey, that jumped out at you?
No, but not really.
That's okay.
But and the student loan, that whole program's going to start. Folks are going to have to start repaying their student loans. That's coming up soon. And I think on average, they said it's about $275 a month that folks are going to have to start repaying back.
Okay.
Not only that, but there's other COVID programs that are ending also at the same time. There's child care subsidies, and that's huge. So if people have to start paying more towards their child care, that could really change the landscape of the economy too. So you have a couple of things.
Childcare is expensive.
It is very expensive, and it could be the difference between somebody working and not working. But so that should be interesting to see how that's going to affect everything also, because they're two pretty big factors right there that could have an impact.
Childcare, I think, is going to have a bigger impact than the student loan payments. I mean, even though Moody's Analytics came out and then they said that there is going to be an impact in an interview they did when the repayments start on October the 1st. I mean, there's people that decide, hey, it makes more sense for me not to work because I'm paying for daycare. And depending on how many kids you got there, I mean, and how old they are, because the price is higher, obviously, when they're infants, it goes down. And you got all these folks that have half-day kindergarten, which is very prominent around here. I mean, both two of my three kids were in half-day kindergarten, and they went to before or after care. It was before care for them. But that doesn't really matter. That just has to do with what class they were assigned. So that's a big cost. I mean, it's and for people that send their kids to public school, it's like, oh, great, I got to pay this now on top of everything else. So there are some things happening here that could lead to spending coming down, which may not be a bad thing because that will help reduce inflation. It's not necessarily good for the economy, but the economy has been really strong. It's been surprisingly strong for a lot of folks.
Yeah, especially for the Fed.
Yes.
They're surprised at all the spending that's still happening. But why be surprised? There was a lot of money injected into the economy. But yeah, I think that the child care could affect, what's the effect on the job numbers coming up then? If that leads to people not going back into the workforce, or it leads people to get out of the workforce because now they have to pay for their own child care. So it should be interesting to see. And I do hope that the Feds, they hold steady and not raise and not do these knee-jerk reactions. Just let things play out and see how all of these things are going to come together and affect, what's really happening out there.
Sure, and here's what's happened so far, and we want to look at what's actually going on in the market as a result of all this. So at the end of last week after the meeting, the 30-year inched up a little bit. It's been above 7 for a while now, and they're kind of lingering around that like 7.25 range. I mean, if someone's asked me where a rate was, obviously it depends on the day, but 7.25 would be the number you'd probably want to tell them. And because of that, members of the Federal Open Market Committee expect that rates are going to remain elevated for longer than had been expected because the rate hikes, they look at improved CPI data, lower job openings, higher unemployment. It says the economy is going to be cooling. However, a lot of people are just not seeing that. An economist at realorder.com, he's clear they're going to be tighter for longer. So I don't see any relief anytime soon. Like all those predictions that said rates were going to be close to 6 by the end of the year, they're now getting revised. Mortgage bankers revised it to 6.5. So that kind of tells you that not that we're right and we know everything, but I just had a hard time believing they were going to be at 6.
Yeah. So, and that goes into next year too. Then
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any major differences or major shifts going on. So we'll probably be in the same ranges here in the low to mid sevens.
Yeah, and I mean rates they're kind of getting close to that high for the year, right? And this is what happened last year, by the way. Remember October, November, rates spiked up and the market almost shut down entirely.
Yeah.
So rates shot up because of the hawkish Fed meeting. Now they settled down a little bit since then. So I think there's we have some Monday morning quarterbacking we can do. I mean it's we want to the hawkish tone at the meeting. We knew about all that. We did see listings grow, which was good. So even though there was, whenever mortgage rates rise, I tend to worry about what's going to happen with the new listing data because it may decline a little more for the lock-in effect. People scared, people pausing,
right,
and maybe throwing the towel, listing their homes because the higher rates make it less attractive, which we know is not the case. So active listings last week grew by over 9,300 homes, and we are at again the peak number of homes for sale for the year. So we're at the inventory peak it's 527,000 homes. So this is not slowed down yet. So that's the good news here. And, you're in the trenches every day. I'm out there, talking to sellers, working on helping those people navigate all this. What are you saying to your folks in the trenches right now? Everything we just talked about, there's all this noise. How do you make people understand what's going on so they can make a good decision? Because we just talked in a lot of economic jargon, and I think it gets tough for a lot of people.
I was just having this conversation today with a couple other people, with a lender and another agent. And there's a lot of people that are on the sideline saying, I'm going to wait for the interest rates to drop. I'm going to wait for the home prices to drop. And I have to ask them, well, as far as home prices, what are you looking for as far as waiting for them to drop? By $10,000, by $25,000, by $50,000, $100,000? Where's your number? And they kind of look at you like they're very confused. They don't really know. It's just a thing that they say, I think. Because first of all, you don't want home prices to drop, and they're not going to drop. When a house closes, it becomes a comp. So if there is competition and there's multiple offers on a home, most likely it's going to go over that asking price. A lot of people are making up differences in appraisal deficits. So the homes, they close at those price points, So we're not having to renegotiate.
Especially with these cash buyers, and they're borrowing money from their parents.
And what's the number of cash buyers? We were shocked at that number. It was over 50%.
I'll have to find it
Yeah.
here.
So there's a lot of cash buyers out there, so we don't have to worry about appraisals. But it's just interesting to me because
1/3.
One
as of
third.
June.
That's a lot.
Bananas number.
Yeah.
That's
So
according to Redfin.
it's just trying to educate them on, the reality of the interest rates, what it means, and getting them to distill it down to their monthly payment. And where are you comfortable? What were you thinking of your monthly payment to be, including your taxes and your insurance? So I think when you break it down like that, and then you understand, I have a lot of tools that I use, a lot of charts, historic data that I show them where the interest rates were, and also the housing prices, and also the rental prices. And, even though they say that the rents are in decline, they're still not in decline to a point where people are happy or find it affordable.
Yep.
So your rent is 100% interest in my book. So if you're going to continue to pay that, it's just money going out where you could find opportunity in the market. There is opportunity out here.
I agree with that.
There's homes that are overpriced sitting on the market or that need a little extra love, TLC. But there's definitely opportunity out there. So if people do really have a need and a want to move and make a purchase, there's ways to get it done.
So that's great advice on the purchase side. What I'm telling sellers right now, because I've had this conversation with a lot of folks, it's should we wait now or should we list now or should we wait until the end of let me start over. Should we list now or should we wait until the spring of next year? And the first question is, where are you moving to? Because if they don't know where they're moving, then there's no point in putting your house on the market. We just had this conversation earlier. That can be a full stop for a lot of people. So assuming they have a place to go, there's going to be more inventory come the first 2 weeks of January. I especially in our marketplace, I am super clear on that. I've studied the trends. I've been through this the seasonal flow for 2 decades plus. There's going to be more homes that come on the market after January. So you got to ask yourself, do you want to be the only option out there now or one of the few options when demand is still high? Or do you want to be competing against more people? We don't know where rates are going to go. Rates are going to be the same for everybody buying a house, effectively, for the most part, unless their credit's messed up or something like that. Or do you want to wait and maybe there's more inventory and there could be even more homes that come on the market if rates do drop? That's the thing I'd be concerned about. And you always want to look at the whole market. And one is the timing right for you? 2, are you aware that the market might have peaked? Now you can still get a great price for your home, but it may not be that ultra great price with waived inspections and an appraisal gap coverage and all these other things. So I would look at the known quantities and then see what's going to be best for you and your household. And that may not be the same answer as what's the best time to list the home. And that's the first question. And assuming that's okay, we can do this now. I do see a lot of opportunity in the market for sellers right now to get one of these buyers they're kind of in the screw it mode, right? They've lost out on 3 homes.
Yep.
They're tired of looking.
Yeah.
Their house gets smaller every day because they're living there with their kids. They get more stuff. Or their house gets bigger every day. They can't maintain it. They want to be in by the end of the year. There's folks out there that have been losing properties. That's the buyer you want because there's plenty of new faces that show up after the first of the year. They tend to have a little bit of a different approach than the person that maybe has lost out on a couple agreements. Agree, disagree? What do you think?
No, I agree with that 100%. Yep.
So if you want to be the consumer that is savvy about this, I would be looking at how do I move my time frame up and deal in the known quantities now because I don't see the rates coming down. A lot of economists and predictors are saying this is the market we're going to be in for the next 2 to 3 years, let alone the next 3 to 6 months. And waiting it's a tough thing because you don't know what's going to happen. And it could go great. It could not go great. We know what we know now, and if it's the right home for you and you're going to be happy there long term, or it's the right move for you and you're going to be happy long term, that's the reason to transact. And a lot of folks don't tend to focus on that. So let's take a quick break. We're going to come right back. We're going to talk about the latest commission lawsuit news. There's actually I think some positive news in here. I know you talked about the RE/MAX settlement last week, which was a big deal. And we're also going to talk about what's going on at NAR with Bob Goldberg and a demanded resignation. Next on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
For the best local mortgage service and great rates on your money, look no further than Mortgage America. We have been operating in the greater Philadelphia area for 40 years with a focus on smooth, easy access to home purchasing. Whether you're a first-time buyer, upsizing or downsizing, or just refinancing, we have programs for you. We also have closing cost assistance programs and access to subsidized interest rates. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. To learn more, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000. We always have a person available to take your call with around-the-clock human service. Purchase your home with the personalized local service you find at Mortgage America.
Mortgage America is an equal housing lender. NMLS 128501. When you're getting a mortgage, you shouldn't have to sacrifice great service just to get a great rate. At Mortgage America, we've been lending with this philosophy for over 35 years. We have access to great low rates without the complications and delays of big or online banks. We're a local Pennsylvania lender with loan officers that you can actually meet. As PHFA's #1 lender, we specialize in all residential mortgage programs, including first-time buyer programs and low down payment options. For your free pre-approval, call us at 610-439-8000 or apply online at mymortgageamerica.com. Mortgage America is an equal housing lender. NMLS 128501.
The Tom Toole Sales Group is the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania with over $165 million in volume for 2021. I'm Tom Toole, and our team has achieved that kind of success by being a great place to work with and to work for. No one knows Greater Philly better than we do. We know real estate, but more importantly, we're real people. We hire the best agents, and we give them all the tools to succeed. Even our brand new agents sell 17 to 24 homes a year because our team delivers the best experience in real estate. Teams deliver a better experience than individuals, and we're a top 1% real estate team in the country. We call it AAA service. We're your advocate, ally, and advisor. Because this isn't a transaction to us. It's a relationship. If you're buying or selling a home, call the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX main line at 610-692-6976 or visit tomtoole.com. That's tomtoole.com. Sell your home for more, and remember the real estate golden rule. You always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income? Whether you have a license or not, call us today at 610-692-6976 or visit TomToole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line.
Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Stacy Mitchell. We've got Nick behind the camera, and we all work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line, the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And we're streaming live every week on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Look up Tom Toole Sales Group. And if you get some value out of this, for all our people watching on YouTube and everywhere else, please give us a like. Subscribe to the channel. It would mean the world, but only if you like what you hear. If you think we don't know what we're talking about, then don't bother. Stacy, we got more news. I feel like these are the only two stories we talk about anymore, but they are a big deal. So let's start with the commission lawsuit. I think this is actually pretty interesting. So last week, I think it was Tuesday morning, we got the news from RE/MAX that they settled for $55 million. Good move by RE/MAX.
Yeah.
Disappointing to see NAR has not reached a settlement. I would have loved to see them take some leadership here as RE/MAX agents. This is a win for us. If you did you read the letter on air? I'm assuming you did.
Yes.
That says it all. I'm clear that's a really good move. It's one less thing you have to worry about, and they did not admit any wrongdoing. Right. It just keeps us out of court, which is good for everybody. So, good luck to Home Services. Good luck to Keller Williams. Good luck to NAR. Hope it goes well for you. I'm fascinated by the RE/MAX settlement. I don't know if you got into this. Did you notice that they talked about some changes to franchise agreements that may not be required to be part of NAR or the local boards?
Really?
Now, this is alleged. This is my opinion for everyone watching. This has nothing to do with what RE/MAX said. They said there'd be changes to the franchise agreements. I would be fascinated to see what they are. And I would imagine we're probably going to find out before most people because we have a RE/MAX franchise. I got the email a little before you did. And if RE/MAX says you don't have to be part of NAR,
oh my God.
Well, that's going to be a breaking point for a lot of people because once a company like RE/MAX does it, any of these companies could set the trend here. They obviously don't feel like they're getting value out of this. And we'll talk about what's going on with Bob Goldberg here shortly. So in the meantime, I thought that was interesting. That's just my hallucination. This is just a total hypothetical. In the meantime, what happened? The defendants in the Sitzer-Berner suit, they had that. This is one of the two suits, right? So there was a unopposed motion for dismissal on the state law claims pled in their complaint. So what does that mean for all the people that don't know anything about the law? Which I'm there, kind of. There was 3 counts from the plaintiffs: a Sherman Antitrust Act violation, a violation of Missouri Merchandising Practices Act, and a violation of Missouri antitrust law. And according to the motion, the plaintiffs found that the 2 state claims were redundant to the Antitrust Act. So what this does, in my view, the plaintiffs stated that the state law claims pled are largely duplicate claims of the Sherman Antitrust Act in count number 1. And the plaintiffs added that they filed a motion to dismiss those counts, which trial's happening in like 3 weeks.
Wow.
Or not even. It's 2 weeks, 14 days. It's on the 16th. Maybe 3 weeks. I was right the first time. And, seeing that come down, I think it actually makes it easier for the defendants to, which is now KW, NAR, and Home Services, because they're not dealing with these state laws. They're dealing just with the Sherman Antitrust Act. And NAR didn't oppose those motions. And they look at the Mantil Williams, the NAR VP of Communications, wrote in an email that pro-competitive, pro-consumer local MLS broker marketplaces, they ensure equity, efficiency, transparency, and market-driven pricing options for home buyers and sellers. And they plan on presenting their case at trial.
Wow.
So do you think this is a smart move going to trial? I think that's my first question here.
It's risky.
I can't believe these guys are going, and gals.
Either.
I mean, it's men and women.
Right. It's always risky when you do that. Because, I guess they feel confident because they're going to trial. Or maybe they're just saying that and then there's going to be a last-minute settlement. That typically is what happens. Both sides kind of drag it out as long as they
Mhm.
can. It's like, who's going to blink first?
Mm-hmm.
But I think NAR has a lot of things going on right now. So it would definitely be best if they tried to come to some type of settlement agreement. There's other things that they really need to focus on. But having Anywhere and Remax kind of set the stage here, it would be easier for them, I think, to negotiate and have a settlement.
It would have been nice for all these companies. They're talking, right? I
Mhm.
mean, these
Yeah.
people. I mean, I've been to the T360 conference, and all the CEOs get together. They hang out. I mean, it's. I mean, you see Nick Bailey there. You see Gary Keller didn't come this year, but he's usually there. You see, all these people are together. The CEO of Home Services, whoever they are. I would have loved to see them do this together, but at the same time, if NAR is so, it seems like they're almost indignant that, like, hey, we didn't do anything wrong. Which Remax said the same thing. The better business move is to settle, in my view. I think this is a great thing because when you settle this, I mean, it moves on, and there's something to be said for that. So, and I do feel like NAR might be preoccupied. I think that's a great observation. So, I'm really curious to see what happens at this trial, and that's going to be very fascinating. And I'm glad, as Remax agents, we aren't part of that. So that's good news for us. Another great reason for Stacy and I to work together, and there's plenty of great reasons for that. So let's talk about the what's going on at NAR. So what do you think about this? So there's NAR staffers. They have, and this happened yesterday. They have demanded the resignation of Bob Goldberg and other leaders. So Bob Goldberg is the CEO of NAR. There's a lot of, they're getting all these demands from staffers and members because of the harassment allegations that was brought forth in the New York Times expose. The trade group informed members that it was bringing in like a third-party human resources reporting system and a third-party independent law firm to conduct a review. That's all nonsense. I think that's what every one of these companies does when something goes wrong, right? Am I wrong here?
Right. Damage control.
Pretty much. So, and they have this like NAR accountability project. So now, there was an email to NAR staff that was obtained by Housing Wire that said NAR CEO Bob Goldberg wrote that there's a company is going to conduct, it's a law firm, an independent law review to make recommendations to improve procedures, trainings, and systems to prevent inappropriate behavior, encourage reporting of alleged misconduct, and promote an environment of transparency and accountability.
That came from him?
There was an email he sent. He also noted that there's another firm is going to provide an internal investigation services to a new special committee, and that law firm will investigate harassment, discrimination, and misconduct complaints and report back to the special committee with findings and suggested remedial actions as appropriate. These two changes were also proposed in an anonymous letter from the NAR staffers presented by NAR Regional Vice President Shannon King during a committee meeting this past Monday. And the letter also states that if any or all of the leaders must remain at NAR to deal with the impending lawsuit, they should be retained for that purpose only, with no leadership or staff management responsibilities, nor role in selection or hiring of the new CEO. So what do you think about that? I mean, the staff's coming out and saying, "Hey, we want the CEO out." This has happened at professional sports teams. It happened to the Washington Redskins.
Yeah.
It happened to the LA Clippers. I mean, we've seen it happen to the Carolina Panthers. That there was, and not all the same things, but something that you shouldn't be doing as a CEO.
Right.
Whether it was inappropriate comments from, about, race, about, harassment, whatever it might be.
Well, I think that the end result is going to be the same. He is going to be out. So I don't understand why, and I kind of agree with staffers because they're looking at it like, hey, our firm has been, we have this negative air around our firm now, and it affects them indirectly, but directly it does. So if they could, if he would just remove himself and they could get on and start the quote healing process, or just get on with it, I think it would put everybody in a better position. But that's my opinion. But I think the end result's going to be the same. He's going to be out. It's just he's waiting to get his payout.
Yes.
It's all about money, I'm sure, instead of just, doing the right thing and just removing himself, because there's always a cloud of smoke and dust. And, whenever these people stay in these positions, when there's such accusations, and everybody's innocent till, proven guilty, but there's a lot of allegations. And, I think he would do NAR best if he would just remove himself, and then the rest of the organization can move forward.
It would be nice to see someone do the right thing in one of these situations, and I understand it was the president, Kenny Parcell, was the one that was he resigned like right away, right? So it tells you who there's it's funny because the new executive team member, Tracy Casper, who assumed presidency in late August. Some people say that she's a primary contributor to the hostile work environment, and we hear Tracy and we ask ourselves how she missed it, right? So that this is what's in the letter, and that's what they say. And I think what happens is that you're almost like tainted, right? I mean, this is not that different from some of the other things that have gone on that we've seen. Look what happened at Penn State, right? It was actually the president was gone. I mean, these are obviously very different things, but when people allow stuff to go on, being a leader is not easy. And being a leader for this kind of organization, I think, is really tough because a lot of people don't like the organization in the first place.
Right.
And when you look at what's going on, a clean sweep is the only way to go here, in my view. And there's this website. It's called the NAR Accountability Project. It's agentsdemandchange.com. And I'll actually see if we can get this guy on the show. This will be pretty interesting. So there's social assets to help spread the word. There's a petition. They're regular members of the NAR. This is right from their website. Who had talked about the internal activities at NAR. So they have this Agents Demand Change website, and one of the things this NAR Accountability Project is trying to do is they want to release women from their non-trade secret NDAs, which I think that's where things could get pretty uncomfortable if that actually happens. I don't even know how you do that personally.
Yeah. Wow.
Do you? I don't. Okay. So, and I think what continues to go on is that there is an NAR spokesperson saying that they're working to create a safer environment. We've heard all this stuff before.
Right.
The challenge I have is that there's and this is a very large issue. And you have this commission lawsuit happening at the same time, and now you can't focus on what's best for all the members. And I'm not dismissing this issue at all, but this is a distraction, and it should have been caught sooner. It should have been allowed to happen in the first place. It's just I don't know how they move ahead without putting in some new leadership, because so you're a woman. What's your take on this? I mean, and forget that we're all agents here. I mean, my view is just get everybody out of there and let's start over.
Yeah. I think a clean sweep. You have to, because people want to feel like they've been heard, and people want to feel like they can trust their organization. That's what it all comes down to it. And if you're working in these environments and it's, you just know that there's things going on behind the scenes, and things are overlooked here and things are overlooked there. You can't go to HR. You can't do this. You're not going to stay there, first of all. You're going to be looking for some way out. But what if you like your coworkers and you like other things about it, and you just want to have, an environment where you can do your best and you can thrive and not have to worry about these sideshows? So I think a clean sweep is definitely in order. Get new leadership right away.
Yeah, and then this letter is that they really target the new president, where they say that internal leaders who are in positions of power that did nothing to protect staff, they name some names, and then the letter goes on to say, while the new president shamed the individuals who leaked an internal memo and those who exposed its contents versus those who tried to bury it and got caught. I mean, that's a real problem, right? Yeah. I mean, and people are going to be watching this very closely. And NAR's got some issues, and that's why I'm fascinated by the settlement, to bring it back to what we talked about, because if we don't have to be members of NAR, besides I see two value points of being a member of NAR right now. One is dispute resolution. I find value in that for buyers and sellers. It keeps things out of court. Like, have you ever been to an arbitration hearing or a mediation? So I've been to a few, and it eliminates a lot of nonsense, and it gets people in a room where they can work it out. Because a lot of times when there's a dispute, and you've been in transactions, it's like keyboard warriors or telephone tough guys, and everyone's yelling. But when they're in a room, magically it gets worked out. And I do see value in that. Other people are going to say they see value in the electronic lockbox for security reasons. This market is very odd here because we have some agents that refuse to pay for it. And then if you put an electronic lockbox on your listing, now you're having to go meet these people because they don't have one, right? And I mean, it's agents from Philadelphia and Delaware County. It's really like Chester County seems to be the area that uses it more than anywhere else.
Yeah.
Some people are going to see value in that. I do believe in the dispute resolution. I see that as something that's important. I like the idea of a code of ethics. All that stuff's great. Challenge is you got all this going on. How are they going to enforce a code of ethics when this is what happens at the main offices?
Yeah, a little hypocrisy there.
So that'll be that's why these things are so closely tied, and maybe that's why NAR is not settling.
Yeah, that could be.
They're dealing with all sorts of nonsense, and it's like
They're all over the place.
It's like the real estate agent that focuses on everything except the things that will make them money.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like they're in the
right.
whirlwind all the time. Like I'm the most organized. I respond to people right away, and I haven't set a new appointment in 4 weeks. It's that's what makes me a little nervous here. So interesting times to be a member of the NAR.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
So we'll take a break then. Here we're going to come back. We're going to talk about what's going to happen in the fall market, if it's going to be a flop or we're going to see a lot of activity next on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
When you're getting a mortgage, you shouldn't have to sacrifice great service just to get a great rate. At Mortgage America, we've been lending with this philosophy for over 35 years. We have access to great low rates without the complications and delays of big or online banks. We're a local Pennsylvania lender with loan officers that you can actually meet. As PHFA's #1 lender, we specialize in all residential mortgage programs, including first-time buyer programs and low down payment options. For your free pre-approval, call us at 610-439-8000 or apply online at mymortgageamerica.com.
Mortgage America's equal housing lender, NMLS 1285001.
I'm Tom Toole of the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line. If you're thinking of becoming a real estate agent in the greater Philly area, I have a special offer for you. Our team did $165 million of volume in 2021, making us the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania and a top 1% team nationally. Our agents love us because we offer them a successful career, a great life, and an unbeatable culture. Agents who've been with us for at least a year average 30-plus sales. Even our brand new agents average 17 to 24 sales a year. We offer proven systems and expert training. We help you set more appointments and sell more houses. Now here's the offer. If you don't have a real estate license yet, we offer real estate scholarships so you can get one for free. Check it out at realestatescholarshipprogram.com or visit the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line at tomtoole.com. That's tomtoole.com. Get more out of your real estate career, and remember the real estate golden rule. You always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
You shouldn't have to deal with all the red tape when getting your mortgage from a big or online bank. At Mortgage America, we have access to big bank money, but with the personalized and detailed service of a local bank. We are here in your community and ready to serve with fast settlements, low down payment options, and first-time homebuyer programs. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. For more information, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000.
Mortgage America's equal housing lender, NMLS 1285001.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income? Whether you have a license or not, call us today at 610-692-6976 or visit tomtoole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line.
All right. Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Stacy Mitchell. We have Nick behind the camera, and we all work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line, the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And we're streaming live every week on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Just look up Tom Toole Sales Group. And if you get some value out of the show here, any one of the segments, doesn't have to be all three, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll keep the content coming to keep you informed about the local real estate market and the trends happening in the real estate industry. So, Stacy, I think a big question right now is, what's going to happen in the fourth quarter? Is the fall market going to be a flop? And the reason I ask that is because statistically, I've tracked this. You got your spring market right now, and that to me, the spring market runs from January 1st until June 30th. It may not sound like spring. Certainly, there's some winter months in there. That's the spring window. And you typically see things peak in terms of activity April, May, June. I know you've been in some COVID markets, so it's a little different. That's historically what we see. And then there's this second rush that happens literally like right now. And it's usually not the first week of September. It's like the second week once everyone goes back to school. Then you got October happening. And then Thanksgiving pops up. And then the market slows down again. Are we going to see that same sort of flow in the marketplace? What are your predictions here? Because we talked about some things happening economically earlier in the show, but I want to give people an idea what to expect the next 3-4 months.
Well, I think the next number of weeks, people that are looking now, they want to be in before the holidays. They want to be in their new home before the holidays. So that's probably why there's that bump this time of year, like you said, the second or third week of September through October. Because if you get under contract, you have a 30, 45-day close, you're going to be in before the holidays. And that's what most people that are out looking this time of year, that's their goal. So, and there's, a lot of sellers don't want to, if they haven't sold yet or if they haven't gotten under contract by October, November, there's this mindset that nobody wants to move around the holidays. We're just going to wait until January. And again, that's why you see that bump in January, because people, aren't inclined to be disruptive in their home around the holidays for many, many reasons. Me personally, I think it's a great time to have your house listed around the holidays.
I've moved twice in the fourth quarter.
I think it's a great time.
And we've done a little bit of business here. I mean, I look at it as, to your point, I think there might be some more. I'm sensing you're saying there's more opportunity. Is that where you're going with this? So yes. Elaborate on that. Tell us more.
Yes, I think if you're a seller, there's definitely more opportunity because you're going to have the people that are waiting until January. So you're going to have less competition. The buyers, we still have the influx of buyers that are looking. So they will transact. We need sellers. So if you are thinking about selling, you can present this wonderful, it's a great opportunity. You present your home, it's festive, it's holiday time, people can come through the showings. You can kind of lay a foundation for how the buyers can view the home, where family traditions are started or, can continue or be created, which is just, it's awesome. People love the holiday season for the most part, not everybody, but there is it's different, it's different around the holidays. You can envision your family doing holiday meals, things like that. So I think there's a real benefit to having homes listed around the holidays just for that particular reason right there. I've sold homes around the holiday and that was one of the biggest selling points. They just loved how it looked and they can envision their family being in there. So to me, if you're a seller, consider that. Moving sucks anytime you do it. Right?
Well said.
So, you can just jump in and, make it a holiday move. But I think for buyers, if their leases expire at the end of December, which if they run from, year start to year end, there's real motivation to get that wrapped up. So I'm working with a couple of people right now that have that motivation. So they will be looking right up until, the moment that there's that big deadline. But I think this time of year, I don't know. I'm hopeful. I'm always hopeful. I'm optimistic. And, I'm going to find the people that need to transact, and they're the ones I'm going to be working with.
So I like that. And that to me is the absolute right mindset. There is homes to be sold. There's homes selling every day of the week. I think, it's 7.7 homes sell every minute in the U.S., according to Steve Harney at Keeping Current Matters. So I don't see this market being a flop. What I do see is that you've got to get real with the facts, right? So we've seen inventory rise. This has been rising. It rose for the first time in 7 years from July to August. Great news, right? That's a big opportunity here. We've seen it continue to rise and peak. We're at the highest number of homes for sale all year long as of the beginning of this week nationally that are active on the market. And that was as of Sunday's data that comes out every week on Housing Wire.
That's a big deal.
Well, that's a huge deal because what's one of the number one complaints for buyers and sellers?
Right. No inventory.
No inventory, nothing to buy. So you have that going on. The other opportunity I see is that, to your point, I think people realize that the rates aren't coming back down again. Now, the Fed has been very hawkish with their tone, but when you see inventory rise, and I look at especially like the downside sellers, like if you're looking for a smaller home, you got a lot of cash you're putting down, the rate's less important than it is for someone that's maybe going like 95% financing. The rate's going to be the rate no matter what, and you're going to be making somebody's payment, whether it's yours or your landlord's if you're renting. So I look at these next 3 months as full of opportunity, because if you've been struggling to get a home find a home and buy a property, look right now, because there's going to be anyone that lists their home, they're serious about selling this time of year. Any buyer that's out there, for the sellers that are hesitant to list, they're serious about looking at homes, meaning they're going to buy something. No one's putting on their winter coat, and especially think about how the sun goes down. It's a little tougher to look at homes this time of year.
It is.
You got to go on the weekend. You got to maybe get out of work early, cut out at lunch. Looking at homes at night is really tough. You almost always have to come back. That's at least been my experience. So you have that going for you. Or maybe people are driving by and then coming in when they can go see the inside. But when all that stuff happens, those are signs of people that are ready to transact. So you kind of eliminate all those looky-loos, all the tire kickers. And to your point, the home looks a heck of a lot better, decorated for the holidays. It elicits an emotional response, which is one of the reasons why a great home sells. So the market's going to be the market. If I'm a consumer right now or I'm an agent, I'm almost like doubling or tripling down on my search or my goals, because if you can make a move now, you can beat the rush, right? I don't want to be out there when everyone else is buying a home. That's really challenging to do. So I don't see the market flopping. I do see volume still being down. Let's be very clear. I'm not being optimistic to be optimistic here. There's less homes that are selling right now. So if you're an agent, and we've talked about this, you don't got appointments scheduled. What are you doing when you don't have appointments scheduled?
Getting on the phone.
Yeah, well,
finding
new appointments, talking to people, right?
Talking to people.
And you might have to go wide with how many people you're talking to.
Yes.
Instead of just, I know my number, let's say your number is 15 to 1 historically. It might be like 20 to 1 or 25 to 1 these next 3 months. But you can set your business up so well, and we're going to see a big boom in real estate here when the rates do come down. You're going to see all kinds of activity, very similar to what we saw in 2020, which you went through. What was that like for you, going from we can't leave our houses and there's not a lot of activity to here we go?
Yeah, it was wild. It was wild. Here we go. It was very wild. There definitely wasn't enough time in the day. There was a lot of just a lot of people came back. There was pent up demand, and it's tough meeting all that. But you just do it. You go on autopilot and get out there and look. I thought it was very exciting. I like to be busy, so for me it was great.
That's why you're great at your job.
But because I like to get people in their homes. So for this, I don't. I think it's just going to be a normal market, and there's definitely opportunity. So for those people that are looking, get your mindset right. Get out there. Look at homes like Tom said. It is going to be harder because the sun goes down earlier. So you do have to make other arrangements to get out and look at the exterior and then get in to look at the interior. I noticed, though, there's lots of open houses. So that's one thing that came back in full force, because that was kind of lacking around, during COVID. There was no open houses because crowd control. So get out and see, take advantage of those open houses. Get inside. The more homes you can see, then you can really, if you are undecided about what style you like and what exactly you're looking for, then that's going to really help. But I think this fall is going to be great. And to your point about if interest rates drop and people are going to come back into the market, there's going to be so much more competition.
You might be in the same spot. Yeah, that's my point.
If you think there's competition now, there's going to be so much competition then, and you are going to pay higher prices. So now is the perfect mix. So the interest rates are the interest rates, but we know where the housing prices are now. If the interest rates drop, guaranteed the home prices are going to increase. They're not coming down because there is going to be the influx of buyers. There's going to be more competition. There's going to be multiple offers. We've seen it. We've watched it. And again, when one house closes, it becomes a comp in the neighborhood, and people look to that. And that's where they'll start their price.
Well, think about that, though, is that do you want to be out there with competing again? I mean, you lose your ability to get a home inspection. You lose your ability to maybe think a day about the house. I mean, so there's a lot of things happening that way. And a wise man, Warren Buffett, said you want to be the one buying when nobody else is buying. So I would argue that you want to move up your time frame now. And if you don't find a house you like, don't buy it. It's got to be the right house. I think that's the most important thing. So that's it for this week's episode. We said it all, Stacy. You want to follow us? Stacy's on Instagram. She's at the number 2 Mitchko. You can follow me at TomToole3RD on Instagram. And again, if you like the show, you found any sort of value, do us a favor and subscribe to the channel and like the video. It would mean a lot to us. It's all on YouTube. Just look up Tom Toole Sales Group. And we'll be back next week on WWDB 860 AM. That's it for this week's episode of Toole Time Real Estate Radio.